Rising family. Welcome back. Welcome back to another collective Rooted in Rising message titled The Love That Transforms You. Right? Welcome back. So we're going to come on in. We're going to get settled. And I want us to just take a deep breath together. Ready? That always feels so good, doesn't it? All right. Since this is a collective message, it means that we're going to take what resonates. We're going to leave what does not. You know the old saying, everything isn't for everybody. So every part of the message is not for everybody. It won't resonate with every single person, or every piece of it may not resonate with you. So only parts of it may, feel really connected to you. But it doesn't mean we can't gain something from, what we hear, or pass it along. We may have people in our lives like, oh, you know what? This would be a great message to share with them, or this would be a great piece of that message to share with them. All right. So when I speak of masculine and feminine, let's get that disclaimer out of the way. I am talking about energies and not gender. Right. And this message, once again, it is centered on a divine connection. And what Spirit is showing is not just like the connection itself. They are showing the journey it took to get there, the growth, the distance, the lessons, the transformation, and what it's becoming now. And I am going to look up to reference my notes, because I will write very detailed, and so I'm not going to be able to remember every single thing that was jotted down, that was notated, that was pulled, because it's lengthy. But anyway, let's walk through things together, okay? This is a love. Once again, this is real connection, real divine connection. So it's not rush. It's not surface level. It feels like something that had to go through something, to become what it is, and life does that to us. It takes us through different things to build us, to get rid of some things, to show us things, to show us maybe what's real and not real in others, show us what we did not see in other situations or in other people that is either great for us or not so great for us, right? So let's walk through it together. We start off with the Five of Pentacles, and seasoned tarot users are familiar with the Five of Pentacles, which speaks of what? Some sort of loss, right? And I'm going to say this will be when things didn't feel right, because we're going to kind of walk through the stages or the scenarios, or build through this together on the journey of this connection, right? So we start here with the Five of Pentacles, right? And this is the energy of something is just not feeling stable. Something is not quite right, right? Feeling left out, feeling unsupported, feeling like something was missing. Whether this was emotionally, financially, spiritually. So we have this feeling of being left out of something, this loss. So in this connection, it feels like there was a period where one or both energies felt alone. Whether they were connected with someone or not, they still felt left out on the outside of things, a loss, alone, or that something was lacking, something was missing. Again, this is even if the other person was technically still there, and this other person may or may not be your divine connection, just a person that you were already connected to one way or the other, right? And that is a very specific kind of loneliness. It's a different kind of loneliness when you're connected with somebody, but not aligned. So, alone, but not alone, but ultimately alone. I've been there, done that. I know the feeling of that, So this is where we have an oracle pool that comes in, right, from the Unspoken Truth Oracle deck. And that card is not everyone is meant to stay forever. Isn't that a saying? I'm just laughing because, oh my God, Lord, I've learned some of those lessons. My goodness, the hard way. Could have listened to sound advice, did not. Some people come to teach you something, and that's for sure, or build something in you, or make you realize something, you know. So for some of you, this phrase wasn't just about hardship or loss or feeling on the outside of things. It was about learning something, whether it was learning something about you or learning something about the other person. Ultimately it still falls back on you learning what you either really want, don't want, should put up with, shouldn't put up with, actually is willing to put up with, or unwilling to put up with. Things like that, right? So once again, the phase was not, this Five of Pentacles phase wasn't just about hardship for the sake of hardship. It really was about learning boundaries, learning self-worth, learning what you will and will not accept. All right, so this wasn't wasted time. This was shaping time, right? This was shaping and building time. Not a fun time, but necessary, right? It's like going to the gym and working out and personal training, or changing one's dietary habits where it's not necessarily fun, but it is good for you, right? One of those things. So next we move on to death. Death in the tarot. And, we hear death and it's like, oh my gosh, death. But this is basically what had to change, right? So we move on again into the death card. And you already know this isn't just change. This is real transformation, right? Something had to end. In order for there to be beginnings, something has to end, right? So that's what the death card is usually about. The ending of something and the beginning of something, because something cannot begin if something doesn't end, right? So something had to end. And I don't mean surface level endings. Remember, we had the Five of Pentacles before. That's our big transformation, our big change, learning boundaries. That's our card of loss, feeling on the outside of things, hardship and going through things because something had to do what? End. Something had to change. Something in you had to change, or a situation or a circumstance. So again, something had to end, not service level patterns, behaviors, and whether that be someone else's behavior towards you or your own behavior, because Five of Pentacles is not just showing you somebody else, it's also showing you. That's the hardest lesson, and that's the hardest thing to change, is really you. It just is what it is. But anyway, something had to end. Again, behaviors, patterns, ways of loving, or ways of showing up. All of that had to go, And even if it was not you, but someone else, their way of loving, their way of showing up, if it did not align with you. And sometimes it may not be that the other person is doing something wrong, it just doesn't line up with you. So we're not going to paint the other person like they're just so wicked and so, they're just so bad. Sometimes being unaligned is just being unaligned. It is not necessarily like this person is evil. They just are not aligned with you. You find out what really works for you, what really does not work for you. And sometimes it's not about the other person being evil. Sometimes it is. Sometimes the other person is really just a piece of work, but sometimes it's just unalignment. But anyway, those things that had to go, all right? So hardship, Five of Pentacles, the loss, the feeling on the outside, showing us what is, what isn't, what has to go, what you won't put up with, boundaries. Death, something had to change. And that means patterns, behaviors, whether that's yours or somebody else's. Once again, Five of Pentacles, learning what you will or will not put up with, or what you should or shouldn't put up with, or you're just unaligned and it doesn't matter how good the person is, it's just not going to work. So from the Unspoken Truth Oracle deck, we have another card pulled from the deck, and that goes, your past shapes you, but it doesn't define you. All right, so that sits with this card very beautifully, because you know what this is saying is, yes, things happened. Yes, there were wounds, mistakes. We all make them. Misalignment. But none of that gets to define what this divine connection that's either shaping itself right now, taking place, and y'all are in the beginning stages of building, or maybe y'all are actively building for a while, or you haven't come together and you're, you know, it's divine timing, getting ready to place you together in the right timing. It doesn't define what this connection becomes moving forward, the one that is aligned. And being aligned doesn't mean that it will be easy and there won't be any work. Because I don't know anything that's just, you know, easy peasy. As my child used to say, easy peasy mac and cheesy, or something like that he used to say to me when he was little. You will still have to do the work, but you're just in alignment. You're just doing it together. You're on one page and one accord because your values line up with theirs. So it's easier to move forward. It's not that there won't be complications and that you won't butt heads or you won't have a difference of opinion. It's different when you're aligned because you ultimately see yourself moving in the same direction. So you can, because you're both going to the same place, not one going one way and one going the other. Anyway, so again, none of that gets to define what this particular divine connection between the masculine energies, feminine energies becomes moving forward. All right. This is where both energies, whether together or apart, had to evolve, because it's not just one energy going through something. This is a divine connection. Usually, not always, but usually you mirror each other in what you're going through. Usually you are going through a set of things and they're going through a set of things, because it is molding you so that when you come together, those things that are not going to work have, for the most part, fizzled on out. You've learned some lessons, you've changed some things, and now you can come together. Usually your circumstances or situations kind of mirror one another. So while you're going through, they're going through, that kind of thing. So we move on to the Chariot. Now we're moving differently, right? We did our 5 of Pentacles of loss, feeling on the outside, learning boundaries, dealing with nonsense, you know, that we probably should have been dealing with, realizing some people probably aren't who they thought, who we thought they were, or if they weren't bad, they're just not aligned with us. So then we have our Death card, where something had to end so something can begin. So now we have our Chariot of moving differently, right? So here's where we shift. The Chariot comes in and says, okay, now we move, you know, now we're going somewhere. But this time it is not a reactive movement. It's intentional, right? It's going somewhere on purpose with intention. It's not confusion, it's direction, right? And from the Kipper Oracle deck, Kipper as in Kipper Oracle deck, the cutest little deck, you know, they mimic the like Barbie cards. They're so pretty. I wish I could show you a lot of these decks, but I don't like going through the hassle of it because it's so much about you can't show this, you can't show that. You know, those who know the traditional tarot decks have you know, images, you know, unclothed images, so you can't show it. And so I just don't deal with it at all. That's why I don't show the cards, because it's too much. Well, this has this in it. Well, that has that in it. And I'm not going to deal with it. It's silly, but it is what it is. I'll name the decks so that if you want to look it up or you want to get the decks on your own, you can do that. But anyway, from the Kipper deck, we have Pathway, which is distance, slow growth, long road ahead, right? That's very connected to the Chariot Tarot pool. So this is important because Spirit is saying this wasn't overnight, right? This connection didn't just fix itself. No connection can. It's work, right? This has been a journey. So some of you have been on a long emotional road with this person. Growth didn't happen all at once. It happened step by step, right? A long emotional road, whether you are physically together or not. And we know how emotions go. Emotions they just don't disappear over time or distance. right? Especially in a connection, they stay for the most part. So anyway, once again, I said some of you have been on a long emotional road with this person, and growth did not happen all at once. So it happened step by step. But now there's movement forward that is intentional. It actually means something. It's going somewhere, right? It's going somewhere on purpose. That's what intention, right? So we move on to the next tarot card, the Empress. That's the feminine shift, right? Now let's talk about this Empress energy, right? This is where the feminine energy, again, energy, not gender, feminine energy, really, stepped into herself. This isn't the version of the feminine that was questioning her worth, waiting, overgiving, or unsure. Been there, done that. Oh my goodness. This is the version that says, I know who I am, right? She's grounded. It almost mimics somewhat the Queen of Pentacles energy, grounded earth energy, right? I know who I am, because Empress is she's the ultimate, divine feminine, but she's grounded in knowing who she is. She does not chase. You come to her, she will not settle. She knows fully who she is, and she will not lower herself for anything less than what an Empress deserves. But she is highly feminine, highly nurturing, and but fertile, right? So she's just a representation, or that particular card is a representation of basically the ultimate feminine energy right there. All right. So again, this version says, I know who I am. And that shift, changes everything. Because once the feminine stops chasing, stops shrinking, stops doubting, the entire dynamic recalibrates. She becomes magnetic. That is what the Empress is. Again, she doesn't chase. You will come to her. And it's not that she's stuck up. It's not that she's arrogant. Her energy naturally pulls you in because she's saying, I don't care whether you come to me or not. You either come or you don't, right? So it naturally sparks the masculine energy. Not on purpose, just naturally. Empress naturally turns the Emperor switch on, the highly masculine energy on, to come to her. Because, oh my God, she is not insecure. She is not chasing me. She doesn't seem to care whether I come to her or not. She will still be Empress, basically. And it's not that she doesn't care, but she still will be Empress, whether you come or not. She will be her, and she will not tolerate nonsense, nor will she lower herself. So that means all the other page energies, those who are familiar with the tarot, the page is the real beginning stage of most things, right? The baby stage. All of the pages, all of the distractions, for the most part, are detoured away from her because they can already see that she is in Empress mode. She's not dealing with that. She won't even entertain it. All I can do is look because she will not even tolerate this weak hello from me. She won't do that. Okay. But anyway, so the shift changes everything when she operates in the Empress energy, because Empress will not chase. She will be Empress no matter what you choose to do. All right. And it naturally, though, ignites and starts the engine on the divine masculine, because he's like, okay, what do we have here? Something different, right? Something different. But anyway, so the dynamic recalibrates. She becomes magnetic. She becomes grounded. She becomes aligned. And that's when everything else starts to respond differently, right? Everything in the atmosphere changes. Everything in the spiritual realm changes, whether you believe it or not. That's up to you. Story time for you or not. whatever you choose. But things change because she has changed and says, I'm not tolerating that. Or the energy has changed and says, all right, now I'm ready. You know, whether you do right or not do right, that's up to you. But I will not bend down. I will not change who I am for you. All right, so we move on to the sun. Now everything is clear. I love these cards. Right? The pull for these cards. I pulled 10 tarot for this reading. It was all very, very good cards, right? Anyways, we have the sun, right? We had the big feminine energy shift, you know, which changes things. It puts the feminine energy in a position of magnetism. You know, magnets pull in, and that's drawing in the masculine energy because, oh my Lord, she's ready, right? It's like pheromones. I can't get enough of you, girl. I don't know. She's just standing there. I'm like, okay. But anyway, so we have the sun, and this is where things start making sense. This is clarity. You know, what does the sun bring? You can see things clearly, right? So we have clarity. This is truth being seen for what it is. There's no more guessing. No more what is this. It's out in the open. It's clear, right? This is where both energies, or at least one, begins to truly understand this connection. Like this. What does Sade say? This is no ordinary love, right? There's also a sense of warmth returning here because, you know, the sun does bring warmth, right? It brings warmth. It brings coziness, brightness, like all those good things. So there's a sense of warmth returning here. Whereas the Five of Pentacles is when you're left out in the cold. If you look at the traditional Five of Pentacles in the traditional tarot deck, you know, you have the adult with the blanket kind of in rags and the child, and it's a winter storm, and it, you know, it signifies kind of like loss, like poverty, and they're out in the cold. But then you have the sun here warming things up, right? Again, this is no more confusion, no more guessing. This is your sense of warmth returning, openness, honesty, lightness. And it's like after everything that was heavy, things start to feel lighter again, right? And then we move on to this very beautiful card here, because clarity is now here. You now see the connection as what it is. Not ordinary, as something you desire. You are now open. And so we can build, right? Things could, or this could be something real. The 10 of Pentacles. And what does the 10 of Pentacles speak of? That is what? Our legacy card, right? So we get the 10 of Pentacles. And this is where things get serious, because 10 of Pentacles is about longevity. It's the legacy. All right, so this is long-term. Pentacles is representation of earth signs, stability. Usually is in connection with finances, which say, you know, which speak to stability. All right, so this is long-term. This is stability. This is building something that lasts. In other words, it's not something that's going to be short-term. It's not going to fizzle. And then we pulled from the Romance Angels Oracle deck, worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life. All right, that fits 10 of Pentacles here very perfectly, because what Spirit is saying is this was not delayed just for the sake of being delayed. All right, this wasn't slow for no reason. You know, I even did a kind of like a storytelling tarot. Here, you can listen to it. Slow doesn't mean no, right? So this was not slow for the sake of being slow. There were some things that had to change in you, in them. Some things that had to be realized in you both, right? So everything had to happen the way it did so that what is being built can actually last. Because you've gotten rid of some things, or some mindsets, or you realize some things about what you truly desire or what you don't desire, or what aligns up with you and what does not, right? So everything had to happen the way it did so that what's being built can actually last. Longevity, 10 of Pentacles. All right, so this is not a rushed love but this is aligned love. There's a difference. I've rushed in so many times, oh my God, and each time it's been a disaster, all right? Because nothing was built on anything firm. There was no foundation built. It was just rushed in, we like each other, here we are, and we don't want that. You can give me slow doesn't mean no any day now, because oh my God, no. And I did enough of the rushing in to learn a lesson from that, right? So there's nothing wrong with taking your time and going slow and feeling things out and building from the ground up, right? That's where longevity lasts. Passion and things like that, those are your wand cards. The fire energy, fire can die out, which is why you need your pentacle energy of like your earth sign, stable, grounded energy for longevity. Because when the passion goes downhill, and if that's all you ever built it on, then what's left? Honestly, what's left? You be sitting there looking at each other, tired of each other, like, okay. I've been there, done that. I should say that. I have, like, any day now, you can just get up and go. You would do me a favor. I'm going to be a bit honest there. I have dealt with some stuff. I have dealt with infidelity like no other. And I used to have women calling my phone talking about coming to get him. And, you know how that goes. It's just stupid stuff. My gosh, youth. It's just so stupid. But even then, I was never quite that dumb. I'd be like, please, can you come and get him? You'd be doing me a favor. I will pack this man's bag so quick, honey. They never would come get him. They would never come get him. I'd be like, look, you don't got to keep calling my phone, honey. Just come on and get him. If he's willing to go with you, you can have him. But anyway, yeah. And they used to be mad. Well, he doesn't want to leave you. What the hell are you calling me for? You be doing me a favor, honey. I'll pack it right on up and tell him that his bags is right there, and the next one is coming to get you. She said she'd be here at 3:30. But anyway, so I got off. I'm sorry. If it's built on passion, passion fizzles. So you want that 10 of Pentacle kind of building, slow but meaningful. Building a legacy, building something real and stable, and that is aligned. All right. So now we move on to the Lovers. This card does not mean, oh, we're just so in love. Lovers is more about choice, right? It's more about an aligned choice. So when you pull the Lovers on different topics like finances or work or, I don't know, friendship or something else, a lot of times it's signifying a choice, because it's called the Lovers because, you do have a choice of coming together, but mostly it signifies what? Choice. So we get to the Lovers, and this is when it becomes real. This is the choice, right? So this is, once again, a choice, not a feeling, not just attraction, all right? A choice, once again, choosing alignment, choosing each other, but choosing to show up differently than before. Like I gave the example of just building something on passion, right? Your passion dies and then you get tired of each other, right? Well, you do. And with the 10 of Pentacles right before it, I gotta bring them sorry. Anyway, and with the 10 of Pentacles right before it, this isn't just, I like you, this is, I see a real future here, and I'm deciding what to do with that, right? More than just I like you. I see legacy with you. I see building with you. I see future with you. I see long-standing building real tangible things with you, real untangible things with you, but real connection, real things, real growth, real everything with you. All right? So then we move on to the devil, which, people, oh my God, the devil. But the devil, can signify different things. It isn't always a bad thing. It can be, but it's not. And with the other cards pairing here, it doesn't really speak to disaster, all right? It's just speaking to, well, we're going to combine it with strength because the devil card was pulled, but then right after that, strength was pulled. So this part right here is where the real work was. Again, that's the devil, the strength, the testing, and the healing. The devil will show what needed to be addressed. Attachments, fears, control, codependencies, unhealthy patterns, things like that, right? Then you have strength that comes in next to it because it came right after the devil. And it says, you didn't just stay there, you grew through it, right? This is emotional maturity. This is self-control. This is learning how to handle love without allowing fear to run it. And there goes Marco. This is where the connection either broke or became stronger. And clearly for many of you, and I'm talking about the divine connection, it became stronger, right? And this may also represent the previous connection if you were in one breaking or the reasons why it broke, right? Then we move on to the Hierophant, and this isn't random, and this is where we end. It's a wonderful card to end on, right? Especially when you're speaking of this here divine connection, and the journey here ending with the Hierophant is perfect because the Hierophant is what? Commitment. This is structure. The Hierophant is going to represent a structure that is traditional, all right? Conformity. A normal structured conformity, something like religion, anything that has to do with structures or tradition in structures, right? We have the Hierophant representing commitment, all right? Again, this is structure. This is spiritual alignment. This is a connection that is being guided, not forced. And from the Romance Angels Oracle deck, we also have trust. This situation is calling for you to have trust. That's your confirmation, right? Because what this is saying is even if everything did not make sense before, it does now, right? And from the Kipper Oracle deck, we also have wealthy man, ambition, opportunity, calculated risk, which can represent a masculine energy, that has matured, that's more focused, that's become more focused, more intentional. Someone who is now ready to invest in something long-term, that Ten of Pentacles energy, right? Legacy long-term, not just passion, right? Not just emotionally, but real, in a real tangible way, all right? In a real tangible way. And what a way to end, right? So again, this connection did not come together easily, but it wasn't meant to. It wasn't meant to. It was meant to transform you, which is more than grow, right? It's like a whole metamorphosis, right? It grew you. It was meant to challenge you and then ultimately align you. All right. Some parts weren't meant to last, but the lesson was. And now what's left is something real. That Ten of Pentacles energy and that Hierophant at the end, right? So, my Rooted and Rising family, as I always close and stay, remember to do what? Stay rooted, stay rising, and align with all the divine gifts ahead.